in the early 1970s was what has been called the second wave of English rock groups, or second British invasion, in different post-psychedelic genres, namely what came to be recognized as glam, progressive rock, and early heavy metal. Numerous musicians and bands, starting at the end of the 60s, went on to become legends in the history of rock and roll and pioneers/precursors of genres that would later dominate pop music scenes. Virtually every popular music fan in America and the world over knows the most successful British acts of the time: Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, David Bowie, Deep Purple, Jethro Tull, Black Sabbath, etc. With the veritable explosion of outstanding creative musicians, the rock music scene was understandably crowded. A number of rock groups moderately successful in England were overshadowed and thus lost to popular mainstream American memory. Our focus today, British hard rock and heavy metal co-pioneers Uriah Heep. Hi, I'm Russell.
And I'm Brandon.
With Pepper Dog's Fetch 'em for us, because we fetch 'em for you. Brandon, what was the military attack force group name that we had decided on for music-related videos? Music cadre, music unit,
Contingent.
yes, music contingent.
And we are here to talk about something that has little to no bearing on your everyday life. The early 70s British rock group, Uriah Heep.
Yes, Uriah Heep. Gosh, one of my first favorite lesser-known British rock groups when I was first collecting albums. What do you know or remember from
Well,
Uriah Heep?
my main memory goes back to these being played on the downstairs sound system.
What you got?
This one's called The Magician's Birthday, and this one's called Look at Yourself.
Yes.
And I remember them being pretty hard rockers coming up from the basement. And I also may have heard the one song title I do remember is called Easy Living. That's about the main thing that I remember.
In America.
Yeah.
Group of fellas, early 70s, hard rock, heavy metal type thing. 1970, first album, US release called Uriah Heep. And this, check that out. What is this? Humanoid vampire winged humanoid vampire centipede.
Yeah, that's
with wheat tendrils for a tail. What's the bottom? Is that like wire? Is that like
looks
spinning? Is that like from a weed eater? Okay.
Yeah.
First album, 1970. I do not own the other 1970 album that they released, Salisbury. Remember the thing with the tank, and there was two covers.
All right.
Just as this one was Uriah Heep in America and England, it was very heavy, very humble.
Okay.
With the what's his name man, what I had just, the guy with the cobwebs in the back. It's a tank and a sketch of a lady, like a Statue of Liberty, like a this thing that I don't own. What is this? Look at yourself.
Oh,
Check that out.
yeah.
America. Yes.
So, well, I already have that. But
Stop. What is this? 1972, the beginning of the classic era, Uriah Heep. In addition to the band members that were in the first few albums, who are they? Lead singer David Byron, main songwriter Ken Hensley, and lead guitar virtuoso Mick Box, that we were able to welcome in early 72. Rhythm section Gary Thane and Lee Kerslake. Does that count as a Roger Dean album cover? Let's forget about that. Thank you.
Okay.
For those of us who don't want to keep having to flip the album back and forth, that way, but what's it called? Magician's Birthday, that you can find out what happens in the story with the cat marsupial who makes its way to the little staircase right there.
Okay, yeah,
Wow.
yours is
Two of them are ostensibly fighting over the girl with the flower
Yeah.
thing on the top of her head.
Yeah, yours is a little different. Mine's got the
Here
borders.
you go.
Okay. All right.
What counts as their classic era, 72, 73, the great live album, and Uriah Heep. This, that. For you.
All right.
What counts as the classic era, this live album in 1973, the great album in the live era, in the classic live. Look through some of these upside down ass pictures.
Oh, that one's got a
Check
book.
that out. Look at him. There he is. He's upside down. Him.
Okay.
David Byron, Mick Box, Ken Hensley. What is his name? Lee Kerslake. The Gary Thane. Rest in peace. Well, it would be rest in peace, David Byron. Also, there you go. Thank you. That's upside down. Here you go.
This is starting to get a little heavy, but that's all right.
Sweet Freedom is the name of that album. 1973. Here you go. Wonder World is what that is. The statues. Gary Thane is still alive. Thank you. What is this? Return to Fantasy? Topless ballerina
Yeah, look. Yeah, that's what it says.
on a fireball. John Wetton, yes. I am sorry that those are the only Uriah Heep albums that I own, whether or not that counts.
Did they continue making them?
It's 1975.
Okay.
Oh, wait, yes, before that there was Firefly that I don't own, in between Wonder World and Return to Fantasy.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we know they continued to make albums through the 80s and 90s and pretty much the 2000s. What was the last album they made? I didn't look it up. It was from like 1 or 2 years ago or something.
Okay.
Oh, wow, you're strong.
Okay.
But yeah, what is Uriah Heep known for? I don't listen to the radio, but what do you remember them for?
They had a handful, I guess. Like anytime I heard Uriah Heep on US 97, anyway.
By a handful, you mean 2?
Yeah. This was before they redefined classic rock. Anyway, there was Easy Livin'. Mainly, what I remember that song from was it was on the radio. Anytime there was a Uriah Heep song, oh, it's Easy Livin'. But there's also a song that a deep cut show played called July Morning. I think it went something like, some July morning when I'm straight. That's right. There was also Stealing. A lot of, they like to drop the G's a lot. That may have been one of their things.
Was that like a stipulation?
Oh, to be on American radio, you gotta...
For American radio hits to be a present participle or a word
Yeah.
ending with an ing that's like an in.
Yeah.
Should have July morning.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's for verbiage,
Well, it doesn't really count.
but
American radio hits Easy Livin'
yeah,
and Stealin'.
right. Yeah, it was a very common thing to do, I guess.
I mean, what were they actually known for as a sound, as a rock group? You got the just generally heavy ass sound, thunderous, giant wall of Mick Box guitars,
Yeah.
and
The swishing organ. was the thing.
Swirling. They swirl. I don't know if they swish.
Yeah.
High-pitched swirling keyboards, as well as high-pitched swirling vocals on the part of David Byron.
Yeah. The drums were pretty heavy.
Oh, Lee Kerslake. Well, as we say, the classic era rhythm section, Gary Thane and Lee Kerslake. The fantasy lyrics. The fantasy-oriented themes and elements in the lyrics.
That didn't show up as much on the radio as it would, like, on an album. But
oh, well, that's how you break into American radio.
Yeah.
It's not be fantasy anymore after it's gaining popularity.
Right.
Okay, well, anyway, we are here to find out if Uriah Heep counts as criminally underrated. So, would you say...
I don't know if it would count. Wait a minute. Yes, I would say it's underrated.
Okay, the reason why we're here, can we agree that Uriah Heep were overshadowed?
Oh yeah, definitely. There were a lot of good hard rockers coming
in
out.
the English rock scene.
Yeah.
Thinking back to who was popular at the time in the early 70s. Because after all, it was the second British wave of rock groups.
Mm-hmm.
Led Zeppelin,
Yeah.
Purple, Black Sabbath.
There was, yeah.
I don't know who Pink Floyd is at all.
But,
all of the other burgeoning new genres at the time. Glam, David Bowie and T-Rex.
right.
Progressive. We were just getting stuff like Yes, ELP, Genesis, King Crimson.
Yeah. And,
Okay, well, there's only so many,
yeah.
fans with expendable income to go around. I don't know.
There's also, you run into a time of day issue, too. There were so many people cranking out so much good stuff. The BBC, they had like 3 or 4 radio channels, didn't they? And they were still saturated.
They sold well in their own England, of course. I mean, for a little while, just almost as well in America. Didn't they have like 4 or 5 gold albums in a row here in the USA?
Yeah.
I think the classic era albums all went gold. And the Rule of 72. Can we call Mick Box overshadowed as a guitar hero?
Yeah, definitely.
He's clearly a guitar hero man with his very flashy style
Yeah.
of solos. But yeah, obviously there was a wealth, can we call it, of guitar heroes in the late 60s, early 70s. You
Yeah.
got your damn Clapton, Beck, and Page, obviously.
There's Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath fame.
Of course, Ritchie Blackmore and Deep Purple,
Yeah. There's
that you can't avoid.
David Howe, I think.
Oh, yeah, Steve Howe from
Steve.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Dazzling freaking guitarist, the man from Yes, Steve Howe. Talking about that glam music, and Mick Ronson, David Bowie's.
Yes, and
It's not like he was a slouch.
we would definitely be remiss if we didn't mention Alvin Lee from 10 years. 10
After.
years 10 years after.
10 years after.
Yeah, 10 years, yeah.
Before.
Right.
It's good enough for jazz.
So,
And then stateside, you of course had the Jimmy, who had recently just passed away
yeah.
in mid-1970.
Jerry Garcia.
Oh yes, when you try to think of you got your Jerry Garcias. What's his name in the San Francisco's Quicksilver? John Cipollina.
Yeah.
Bad as hell, freaking guitarist. Man. Mountain, Leslie West, the fat guy.
Yes, and there's Edgar's brother, Johnny. Johnny Winter.
Oh, Johnny Winter, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's safe to say, not only was the British rock scene saturated as far as popular acts at the time and burgeoning subgenres that were getting ready to kind of take over.
Yeah.
But yeah, guitar heroes themselves. There were, suffice it to say, enough to go around. But it's not like they were gonna say, by golly, let's get a new rock, guitar hero. Let's see. What I think, another thing that kept them from achieving shallow success, the fact that there was no actual star of the group, as far as, a leader, or even two, like a John Lennon, like a Lennon McCartney, or a Plant and Page.
Right.
David Byron, lead singer, that was the front man. Mick Box, the lead guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
And Ken Hensley, the what's it called? Well, yeah, he played keyboards, but he counted as the main songwriting man.
Oh, okay.
For the group for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's nice. I'm not going to weigh in on whether or not I think that's better, but as far as their success, there was no star like a what's it called, like a Jimmy or a Jim Morrison or something, where it was one guy to freaking have the girls worship or whatever.
Yeah.
McBox, he wasn't exactly a poster child.
Yeah. There was
or what's it called? Poster boy.
Poster boy. Yeah.
Sexy rock star man is what we're talking about. Rocking a 70s mustache.
Yeah.
Or something. Aside from Easy Livin' and Stealin' and July Morning, they didn't really have a major radio presence for idiot ass America. They toured here a bunch to some success. Same thing like we were saying with their album sales in their classic period.
Yeah.
Never really went away, kept cranking out albums, and I'm sure they toured here throughout the 80s and 90s and after.
Yeah.
But they didn't really take over
right.
the country, take America by storm like some of these other rock groups did. Like the ones that had a later 70s revival.
Oh, yeah. ELP.
What's their names? Yes, yeah. Kind of like in the 1977 tour of ELP that we, of course, know nothing about. I don't know who Pink Floyd is at all. Do they count?
Maybe. And, of course, the popular perception of them being too similar.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, yeah, we have to go through that. Okay, Uriah Heep is similar to Deep Purple. Yes. Thank you, or you're welcome, or hello, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, they count. They were both British hard rock groups, formed in the end of the 60s and got big in the early 70s.
Right. And, I mean,
they both count as, you might as well say Black Sabbath is too similar to Led Zeppelin or something.
Yeah.
A Corvette or a Camaro is too similar to a freaking Corvette.
Yeah.
Clyde Drexler is too similar to Michael Jordan. Yes, it's an early 70s British hard rock group. Similar in sound and lineup and some of the themes with the banging the rancher's daughter or whatever.
Does that mean they're underrated, though? Is the question.
Yes, let's semantically delineate between overshadowed and underrated, because I feel like that's like kind of a difference between fact and opinion.
Oh, yeah.
We can definitely say they're factually overshadowed as far as the number crunching, the record sales, the popularity, the tours and this and the radio hits or whatever, with your highway stars and your Smoke on the Mountain or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And what's it called? Na-na. Remember that? Na-na. Remember that legendary British group that's always on the radio? Da-da.
Yeah.
Overshadowed as opposed to underrated. Underrated, do it depends if you care about whether or not they need the popular success.
Yeah.
As far as being a, what do some of the critics and different people say with regards to Deep Purple? A poor excuse for a Deep Purple ripoff, a dime store Deep Purple, a discount Deep Purple.
There was even, of course, it was a more relevant review for the time, but there was even one guy that compared him to Jethro Tull.
Oh, yeah, 10th rate Jethro Tull.
What was that all about?
Yeah, that really stood up through the years.
Yeah, that's
Poor
right.
man's Deep Purple.
Yeah.
Can we briefly talk about which of those two rock groups had freaking Roger Dean album covers?
Oh, yes.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Can you hold these, please?
Okay, yeah. Well, I can definitely say that...
Did Deep Purple ever have a Roger Dean cover?
No. I mean, I don't remember any
No.
Deep Purple album cover as cool as this.
Which, I mean, not even a Roger Dean thing. Let's look back at some of the seminal Deep Purple albums.
Let's see, we got...
Let's see, Shades of Deep Purple.
Mm-hmm.
Just a picture of them standing around like in the 60s.
Yeah.
1968. Book of Taliesin or whatever it is, kind of cool illustrations.
Yeah.
Like a children's illustration. Let's see, the Hieronymus Bosch thing. Kind of cool, third album.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was, second album, third album. Let's see,
see.
what are they? Fireballs?
Yeah. That was,
Lame.
lame.
A thing of planet Earth and this, and you got all of their heads in the head of a comet. It's a fireball and
Yeah.
comet, and you got the band members going.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Roger in the hell, freaking Dean, man. Jeez.
Plus, we can't forget about Machine Head. The Chromecast, whatever the
Oh
metal
my
cast.
gosh. Yeah. So freaking awesome.
Where,
A metal stamp of what was supposed to be like molten metal or something that we stamped the name of the group and the album in.
yeah.
Whoa! Because it's heavy.
It's heavy.
And there's a thing underneath that's a dadgum, what counts as a, whatever it is that would count as something like a warp freaking mirror.
Yeah.
Man.
Only theirs didn't reflect.
Let's see, what's the other one? Oh yeah, In Rock.
Oh, gosh.
It's neat that they had them be in a, what's it called, Mount Rushmore, with their heads in a Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
But as an actual illustration, it's lame. Guys, what comparison is this? I mean, I'll give you this, Sweet Freedom. That's a lame cover.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Being lame. Let's see, what's this one?
Pretty,
However appreciable that is.
I mean, it's cooler
Return
than
to
Fireball.
Fantasy, Topless Ballerina. Well, it's Fireball-ish.
Yeah.
I'm gonna weigh in whether or not it's cooler. This is cold, hard, freaking fact. Roger, the
Yeah.
hell,
I mean,
Dean. What comparison is there?
there really isn't.
Okay, not lame. Oh, yes. What about the fact of the name of the group? First of all, do you think when they were forming the group, when they were done being the gods, and had picked up a David Byron or something in the end of 1969, that they had just wanted to see how much they could be like having a word name in the name that ends with a EEP?
Yeah.
Because it's a freaking character from a Charles Dickens novel,
Yeah.
is what Uriah Heep is. It's a guy's name.
Yeah. Quite British.
Well, do you think they actually said, let's use a word that rhymes with deep?
Oh.
Except since we're original, we're going to put it at the end instead of the beginning of the phrase.
I doubt it.
No, it's a Charles Dickens character.
Yeah.
What in the fuck is Deep Purple to have their album be released in 1968?
Oh.
Think back. Think psychedelia.
Yes.
What was going on? If your first album is released in 1968, what had just gone on in England at the time
The old,
when we're still doing psychedelic stuff.
the old Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze mania.
Purple Haze!
Yeah.
How am I not supposed to be reminded of Purple Haze when it's their first album that came out in 1968 and we're still doing what the critics or whoever will call psychedelic hangover?
Yeah. That's true. Anytime I think Deep Purple, even if it's for a heavier thing, I'm like, Deep Purple? Of course, then they had Rainbow. How heavy is Rainbow? But that's a whole different subject. So,
It's from 1968 and it's called Deep Purple.
yeah.
Call it Deep Green or something. Jeez.
Could have called it
You're
Indigo.
supposed to say that they owe their existence to Deep Purple.
Yeah.
Man, I am very sorry that I know enough to not come to that conclusion. Thanks.
Yeah. So,
Anyway, do you think we agree on Overshadowed and we pretty much agree on not a poor man's Deep Purple?
right.
If you don't, go ahead and weigh in on that right now. But what how do you feel about actual underrated arguments? Well, whatever that they say, hipster when it's too mainstream. Okay, all of that existed before hipster.
Yeah.
There's no hipster. It's too mainstream, man. Yeah, it's the same sentiment of liking something that is not quite on the top level of popularity.
Yeah.
So to me, I don't give a fuck whether or not the group achieved,
Whether.
ultimate legendary status in the eyes of American audiences.
Yeah.
American audiences, for me, can, kiss my ass. Of course, I wish the band members and the blokes and the lads, all the happiness in the world. If I had an extra few $1 million, I would give them that money. Do they belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? It depends if you give a fuck about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah. A lot of people don't. I might be one of those people.
To me, it's A-okay. Their albums from the classic era went gold. They toured over here a lot.
Yeah, it's not. It's not
I grew up in the freaking 80s and 90s, and I knew who they were. I own most of their classic albums, and I'm under 50 years old.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm coming from what would be considered as a much later time period, but a later time period. And I mean, I dig them. Like, not only do I have fond memories of rocking out with Dad, of
Yeah, you're
listening
from the
downstairs.
straight up millennial generation.
Yeah.
For you to even know who they are is,
Yeah, it would, because my generation counts Metallica as classic rock. Which,
Well, whether you think they belong in the Hall of Fame,
right.
or that you think they should have gotten more, financial success.
Oh, well,
Recognition? I don't know.
it would have been cool if they did, but, I'm good with where they're at. I got to hear them.
Got a machine head, it's better than the rest. Green to red machine head. Got a machine head, it's better than the rest. Green to red.
That's good enough for me.